Welcome to the Broncos podcast with Troy Renck. I am your host, Troy Renck from the Denver Post. It is midweek. It's Wednesday. It's hump day. The Broncos have cleared more humps than a camel. They've had more, certainly, than a camel, and now they've cleared them. Your Broncos, folks, are now officially a contender. Super Bowl contender? Perhaps. It'd be a long shot, but they are thinking big after making the playoffs last year. So while there's still a lot of sports going on, namely with the Nuggets and whether Jonas Valanciunas is going to be a Nugget and the backup for Nikola Jokic, the Rockies are streaming, firing toward history. They're 21-71. They only need, listen, let's be realistic, a 50-game winning streak, and they're back to 500. They won 21 of 22 to reach the World Series. So what's 51 of 52 to between friends? I kid because I care. But the Broncos, folks, they are the good news. They are relatively healthy in most aspects, and we expect to see that when camp opens. They've got their franchise quarterback. They've got a coach who's created a culture, and they have an absolute gnarly defense. The best, in my opinion, since the 2015 team. Oh, what happened that year? They won the Super Bowl. Not saying this team will win the Super Bowl, but this defense has a chance to be special. Perhaps even the best defense in the league, and that is largely today's topic. I had a chance to sit down for more than a half hour with Malcolm Roach recently. And if you don't know him, you should. He was probably, as George Paton said, the most important offseason addition last year. Why? What makes Malcolm Roach so critical? We're going to get into all of that after the break. Have you been injured in a car wreck or hurt at work? What are you waiting for? Give my friends at Hoggatt Injury Law a call. Their motto with us is personal. That's because it is. I've known Darby Hoggatt forever. We traveled around watching our boys play baseball. I coached his son in hoops and in baseball, but Darby, more than anything, is a huge Broncos fan and Wyoming Cowboys fan, but certainly a Broncos fan. Urged me to do this podcast. That's why he's been my A1 from day one. I'm so glad he did. Darby became one of my good friends. He will become one of your friends as well. You don't even have to pay Darby until your case is settled. So give Darby a call. His team is at 1-833-464-4288. You see that number on the screen, those watching on YouTube. The audio audience, again, that number is 1-833-464-4288, or go to the website at hoggattlaw.com. Welcome back to the Broncos pod. I'm here in my loft at my house with my podcast studio, if you will. Bentley the Bulldog, we just got back from a walk. He is panting it out. He's hot. We got out. We were early, I thought, and then he got a little hot. So I apologize to Danny Bailey behind the screen, who does amazing work. We got delayed by about 10 minutes because the Bulldog had to take a rest. He had to get under a tree and get some shade. He drank almost 2.5 bottles of water on his walk, but he's back, and he's resting. And I am potting. I guess that's a verb. An adjective. But what is today's topic? Let's talk about Malcolm Roach. You probably missed it last year unless you're a hardcore Broncos country fan, and some of you on this podcast certainly qualify. Roach was signed as a guy from the New Orleans Saints. He was not drafted with the Saints. Practice squad guy, slowly just earned playing time. Learned from the veterans on that team, the Cam Jordans, Mario Davis, those guys, Tyrann Mathieu. Learned how to be a pro. Learn not to take anything for granted. And he began kind of adopting this philosophy of, hey, I'm never going to be in a bad mood, ever. Every day I'm going to have a good day. And that's not totally realistic because you're going to be hurt. You're going to have days you don't feel right. But it's really his kind of what drives him, this positivity that take nothing for granted. Because when he got done with college, his family's like, hey, you got to go get a job. And, that Saints thing was a lifeline for him. And then when he became a free agent, obviously Sean Payton had intel on him. He did not coach him per se in that way in terms of him being an impact player yet as a young player. But he liked what he saw. He certainly liked what he heard. And he signs him. And namely, they signed him for one reason, to help improve against the run. The Broncos, folks, could not stop your neighbor from running from city council 2 years ago. Their rush defense was god-awful. And so George Paton has said, their most critical addition before the 2024 season was probably Malcolm Roach. They had to stop the run better. If you're going to be a good team, typically, and you're going to go far in the playoffs, you have to run the ball well or stop the run, and you have to at least do one of those really well. The Broncos did not run the ball particularly well last year, even though their run blocking was good. But their rush defense improved from one of the worst to third best, essentially third in yards allowed, second in yards per carry, under 4 yards. I mean, all you have to do is think back of that Dolphins game in 2023 when it was a track meet and they gave up 70 points, and it literally was like watching a high school football game where every handoff you thought was going to go to the house. Some of that was effort. Some of those guys are not on the team anymore, including Randy Gregory. But some of it was scheme. Vance Joseph taking responsibility, being humble enough to say, hey, we got to fix this. Players buying into that, saying, man, if this guy's not going to air us out, we got to buy into that. But Roach, they still needed better players. Just because you can identify what's wrong doesn't mean you can fix it. Sometimes it's a lack of talent and not just marrying, and it's marrying scheme, player to team, team to fit. All that matters. All that matters. And in Malcolm Roach, they get a run stuffer. And what's interesting about Roach is that he's not this guy like most times you think of run stuffers. You think of, even a Dana Stubblefield, Gilbert Brown, Ted Washington. They're like guys that are built like an appliance you have to defrost every 2 months. Just huge shoulders, huge bodies. That's not really Roach. He's 6'3", 290, and insanely athletic. He's agile. He played end at Texas, and then he grew into this role as an inside guy. He ran the 200-meter dash in high school. He was a baseball player. He thought he was going to be a professional baseball player for the longest time. And then his body just kept getting bigger. But he is a run stuffer who relies on, understanding where the fit is, understanding where his man, how he has to handle his man to free somebody else up, but also being strong enough where one man struggles to handle him consistently. So Malcolm Roach, again, I don't think you can stress the importance of what he means to their rush defense and what it's done for he and John Franklin Myers' addition, what it did to free up Zach Allen, to free up DJ Jones. And then you got two guys on the edge. Jonathan Cooper is one of the better run supporters as an edge guy, and Nick Bonito is just an absolute fantastic edge rusher. I mean, first step as good as it gets. But Roach is part of this team in a way that's different than most expect because he's a leader. He's a leader in the way he communicates. He's a leader in the way he acts in the locker room. And Sean Payton told me that's the one thing they didn't know they were getting was that leadership. So I want you guys to hear from Roach about how motivated they are with the additions of Talanoa Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw, and Jahdae Barron, including, how motivated they are after the loss to the Bills, why he believes this defense can be, in his words, really scary, and what he loves about Denver. Folks, when you hear what he loves about Denver, it's going to make you want to embrace him even more and hope that he gets a contract extension, as this is he's entering his free agent year. But a critical piece when it comes to making this fit, and as good as he is on the field, he is just an absolute joy to talk to it off the field, just an infectious personality. Let's hear from Malcolm Roach.
Guys that's proven the league with Huff and Greenlaw. Even on the offensive side, we've done the same thing with this draft class too. I can't forget about Jahdae and everything. We had great players around here, but at the end of the day, it's still about coming here from day one, having a beginner's mentality day one, and putting in the work. I feel like last year we put in a lot of work to be a good defense. I wouldn't say great yet, but to be a good defense and just work to come together and be a good unit. And I feel like it started the same way with this defense this year. I feel like we got talent at every level, but it's still, at the end of the day, we got to put in the work to be good. Nobody wins games on paper. At the end of the day, the game still got to be played. At the end of the day, we still got to put in the work to mesh together, come together, play hard, play the right way, love each other, love coming to work and love putting in the work. Love putting in the work when we here every day. And I feel like if we do that, the results will take care of itself like it did last year.
Because last year you guys told me, because I've known Vance forever, but like he clearly tweaked it where you played more aggressive, downhill. What are some of the nuances that you could, because last year it was very clear, like you guys were a different looking defense.
Yeah.
You were getting after it. I mean, the sack totals told the story, but what do you see as even like tweaking it to make it even better? Can it be more aggressive? Can it be more takeaways? Like what's that next level of that after what you installed last year?
I feel like it could really get scary if we get to the point where we're able to be in our 5-man fronts and, our 4-man fronts, and we're able to play zone in the back end, able to play off coverage in the back end, not have those guys in man coverage every time we're blitzing or doing something like that. If we're able to get pressure with 4 and drop 8, drop 7, we get to those situations, it could be real dangerous. And that starts with me, DJ, Jeff, Film, Zach, JJ, Any, all those guys, all us up front, Coop, Nito, Jonah, can't forget about my dog Tia. That starts with us up front. If we able to get after it and set the tone and, come off the rock and play the way we're supposed to play, we can make the jobs in the back end a lot easier. And that's like we started causing turnovers last year. The more sacks we got, the more turnovers happening. I feel like it plays hand in hand.
What makes that group, you guys, so special? Because Zach he looked like J.J. Watt at times, and Benito's an all-pro, and you had this integral role. It looked like your addition got guys off of DJ, so they weren't able to double team. What makes that group up front so special?
First of all, I want to say we have like a lot of fun together. Like football aside, we love being with each other.
Okay.
We love going on the road with each other when we have our road. And like it's a good group, and our coach Kane let us be ourselves and let us play to our strengths. But at the end, I feel like when you like going to work with the people you see every day and actually enjoy them, like as real friends and not just coworkers, you play harder for each other. And we able to talk to each other like brothers. We able to talk to each other. Some days they might be, Roach, you need to do this. You need to be on this. Or JFM might be, JFM, you got to pick this up. We able to talk to each other, and there's always a respect. And we all know what we want out of each other. We want to be better. I know when I first got here last year, we had a talk, and I was like, man, that's unacceptable. I can't be part of a group. We giving up numbers like that and things like that. And we made it a conscious effort. If we be better, if we're better, the whole defense and the whole team will take off. And I feel like from both sides of the ball, from the offensive line point of view, from the D-line point of view, it starts up front. And once we got better, the team took off to being more fluid.
Yeah, it changed the personality of this team. Because for years, it kind of were a little soft and finesse, and all of a sudden, when you start stopping the run, running the ball, nobody's getting sacked, it felt like it changed it. When you look at that, how well you guys played in the season, but how much are you motivated by the sting of the Buffalo loss?
I feel like we're real motivated because last year just showed us like, hey, we could do this. Like we got a good squad together. We got a real chance to do this. And like Coach say, we feel like this is our window. We entering our window. This is the start of the window. We've seen what we got in Tim. We know he's one of the best in the league. He's only going to get better. We know we got up front, and we know we got a lot of untapped potential that we ain't even tap into yet. And just out here in OTAs, we playing off each other so good now, especially with the rushes and things like that, running games, and you can tell it's like we didn't miss a beat. But we also know the chemistry though. Like I know what Zach doing on third down. I know where he want to get to, so I know what the spot I need to get to help free him up. Either I'm gonna come free, he come free, and then we got two dogs on Nick and Benito. I say Nick and Benito, Coop and Benito. I like to say, man, they probably the best tandem in the league. Like,
you think so?
They special, I want to say, and I think this is going to get a lot better for them. And I think going into year two with the system, I think everything's going to take off and be even better.
It's interesting to me too because I asked Sean this yesterday. He didn't come here to turn this around. He came here to win championships, and it seems like, and you guys talked about it, at the last game of the season, but nobody here seems to be satisfied. Like, we made the playoffs and had a winning season for the first time in 8 years. Is you sense this group still hungry that way? Yeah. That kind of has that chip you guys had last year?
Yeah, I feel like this group is still hungry just from it's a lot of young guys.
That's right.
A lot of guys that still feel unproven. I still feel like that by myself in the league. Still, as a guy that's got another level he want to tap into. And as a defense, we see like, man, we got another level that we could tap into. We could be real dominant. We got probably the best defensive player, Pat Surtain, that I like. He's in the category with like DeMario Davis and those guys. Just has an impact on the team. Like he's a special player. So when you got him on the side, taking away one side of the field, that makes the job easy. So if all we got to do is stop the run and get to the quarterback, man, it makes our job a lot easy. And we know what we can be. We know what we want to be. We know we're working towards, and we just got to keep our head down and keep working. Like Coach always say, man, keep your head down, carry your lunch pail, and go to work every day. And the results take care of itself all the time.
How have you liked living here now, being here for a year and being a Bronco? What's it been like for you?
It's been real good. It's crazy. I actually stayed out here the whole off season.
You did?
I went home probably one time. Stayed out here. I loved it.
Just because of the training staff, the training altitude?
Just it all.
Just all of it?
I love the city.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, like I sit at home and talk to with my parents and everything. I'm like, man, I love it here. I don't want to leave Denver. I love Denver. My parents come out here all the time.
Oh, okay. How come you love it?
It's just it's a laid-back city, especially being from the South. It's laid back. Weather's good. Got all 4 sports teams. I get to go to Nuggets game, Rockies game, Avalanche game. Like it got everything you need. I feel like, and I feel like it's a chill city. The city supports you a lot. They're really behind you. You could tell they want winners around here. I feel like this is a city, like, just as a whole, you could tell like they're excited about sports. It's a great future. Like, you look at it. You got Jokic in basketball, Pat Surtain in football, Bo Nix in football.
McKinnon, the Avs.
You look down with the Avs, McKinnon with the Avs. Then you look baseball. I know it's rough, but Tovar, he's still an up and coming. I feel like up and coming star. Then right down the street, it's Boulder right there. Like it's everything is on the up and up. I feel like, and you always want to be a part of something that's going in the right direction.
Yeah, I've been having lived here my whole life. Like, there's been very few times where you had the MVP of basketball, MVP of hockey, the best defensive player. Like, usually it was like the Broncos had a great guy, but you didn't. You know, the other sports, it never aligned like this, where you have the best in a sport. You go to the games then, right?
Yeah. I actually just I was at the Rockies game. Who they play last? I went to go see Juan Soto play. So
the Mets.
Yeah, I got a few Rockies games in this year. I saw Aaron Judge a few weeks ago, so I like going there. I sit on the first baseline and enjoy myself.
Did you play baseball?
I played growing up.
How long did you play? Through high school?
Yeah, I played through high school.
What position?
First, catcher, and third.
Yeah, I figured my boys both played college baseball. I coached baseball, so that was my first love. Covering the Rockies took it out of me after 15 years of traveling. So did you ever think you were going to be a baseball player?
I actually did, man. I know it sounds crazy, but growing up, I actually was better at baseball than I was at football, I want to say.
Power hitter?
Yeah, and it was just a sport I love to play. Love travel ball, things like that. And once I got to high school and kind of started seeing the way things was taking off, my body started changing and things, and kind of honed in on football. Football, I always loved football, don't get me wrong, but I was really good at baseball. And then once football kind of took over, I started taking it serious, and I think my junior year was my last year playing organized baseball. That's when I took it football full time. But growing up, I played all 4 sports, including track. So. Would you do
track? The weights, like the?
I did field events and I ran.
No, you didn't.
I ran the 200 a few times, but it's not nothing I brag about too much. But I was out there.
I could have seen, because you could have been on the LSU baseball teams. They were all great, right? You could have.
So me growing up, LSU was a big deal, but.
Who was your?
So I went to a school called Southern Lab. So Southern University had a coach, Roger Cador. We went to this camp every year, and it was
baseball?
a big thing. Yeah, it was a big thing, and we just had a great time at Southern University baseball camp every year.
That's fantastic. The last thing, when you were talking about your teammates and you were saying we can say anything, like when I was covering the Nuggets during the playoffs the last few years, one of the things that's remarkable about that group is they trust each other enough to be honest. Can you guys be honest with each other in that way? Because everyone says that, and it's not as easy to say, but can you guys, you think, be honest with each other?
Yeah, I feel like the main thing that you got to really understand, you got to really know your teammates.
Right.
Like, I know it's certain things I could tell DJ in a way I could say it to DJ. Me and DJ could yell at each other all day. And we just like two brothers yelling.
Right.
But the job still gonna get done and we gonna be good. But I know I just can't go to JFM yelling all the time or go to Zach yelling all the time. You know, you got to actually put in the work with people and build that relationship, to be able to talk to them that way. But the kind of the special thing about this group is we kind of knew that about each other from day one.
Interesting. You could tell the vibe?
We felt the vibe from like day one. From when this group got together, we knew like, okay, we could talk to each other. And like I tell people, Coach Payton say this all the time, you got to be able to laugh at yourself. You got to be able to
100%.
sit back and be able to have, I guess want to say, like humiliation within yourself.
Self-deprecation.
Yes. And if you don't have that, it's going to be hard for you to make it in this business, I want to say, especially because we see about 90 people every day, the same 90 people almost every day. So it's going to be days where you in the mood and you don't feel like seeing people. But once you put in that work and really just figure each other out and know what's going on, I feel we hit the ground running, and it's been smooth. We could talk to each other. We know, just give them a few minutes to cool down. But at the end of the day, we always know that the work is going to be work.
Right. That's the basic.
Like we always say, keep the main thing the main thing. Like, no matter we getting into it, we still know we got to go out here and play this run. We still know we got to go out here and rush the pass together. And it's not an individual sport. I know I need Zach just as much as Zach needs me. I know JFM need DJ just as much as DJ needs JFM. So it works hand in hand.
How much does Vance play a role in that? Because he's got a lot of humility as a coach. Doesn't make it about him.
I think it starts from DJ just to see, for him to take this role again, to him to be back in this building, shows the humility he has.
I went to college with him and I was friends with him. Yeah. So when he came back, I'm like, are you sure you want to do this?
But seeing that and just knowing, okay, he sacrificed for this.
Right.
And just he tells us all the time, I want to be part of something special. And he's like, man, like, I know what my role is here. And if everybody know what their role is, and we go out there and go to war for VJ all the time, man, because he is the head coach of the defense, you know what I mean? So we go to war for him all the time, but he lets us be us.
Right. Create that brotherhood.
He lets that brotherhood be us. He don't try to change you. He lets you, if that's your personality, be you. But at the end of the day, it's about producing. And if we keep producing, I feel like nothing's going to change.
What do you have planned for the break?
For the break, I'm gonna be around here. I might. I know I'm having my camp on the 12th back at home in July.
Wait. Oh, back home?
Yeah.
I'd go to it, but I probably can't get on a plane.
But
what city is that?
In Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge, yeah, that's right. Okay.
But I'm here, man. I work out here, man. Train here. Go around to a few high schools, train on their field sometimes and stuff.
You live near here, I hope,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
There's a million high schools.
Yeah,
right
on that little stretch. What that is? Chambers or Hess?
Yeah, Chambers.
Yeah, they got 90 million high schools on that little.
Condos there, Grandview's over there, Smoky. I mean, there's there's a million. That's cool that you've taken to the place, because I think part of the way the culture they've created, guys like to stay around too. And they keep you healthy.
That's one of the biggest things around here, man. The culture that they created around here, you're not our strength style so good, man. I don't really see a reason for me to go train somewhere else when I could train right here with my people. Same routine every day, come to work every day, free food. It's not really much to be, I'm going to go train over here. And, man,
because you got to rent a place, you got to go to whether Florida, Arizona, California.
And I always tell them, I say, man, look at this weather right here. I know what this weather could be. I played 4 years in some weather where we was getting IVs after OTA practices, man. I can't really complain too much out here. I
tell people it's so dry here. We have no, other than Arizona, we have no humidity.
I'm about to say that's the biggest thing around here. If you get overweight, it's hard to lose it because you're not sweating as much. Like
I know that. Look at me.
Like in New Orleans, man, I might be overweight. I just go sit in the car for 3 minutes and I done lost 5 pounds almost. Out here, that's the challenge around here. Is losing the weight,
right.
Trying to get that sweat going and stuff. But once them pores open up and you get going, you sweat pretty good right here.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I mean, I really appreciate Malcolm giving me time. I could have talked to Malcolm for an hour. After we were done with the interview, in fact, he's like, because I told him, a lot of my life is spent with baseball. One of my oldest son, Dagan, and works for the San Francisco Giants in video and scouting. My youngest son is, on the verge of getting a job of coaching in college, and that we're a baseball family in a lot of ways, even though I love covering football. There's nothing like a football Sunday, the anticipation, the buildup, and then a Sunday. There's just nothing like it. But he was like, hey, you want to go to a Rockies game? Hit me up. Let's go sit and watch a Rockies game. And in his defense, and even though he does know some of the Rockies players, folks, and he brought up, as you could hear in the interview, he brought up Ezekiel Tovar, who's unfortunately had a lost season because of injuries, but he knows the players. This is the guy, again, if you heard that interview, he thought he was going to be a baseball player. But he went to see the Mets to see Soto. He understands he has the biggest contract in baseball. Not an all-star. I think in part because players not big fans of Soto and his act, but he certainly deserved to be an all-star. And then he went to see Aaron Judge. And I've been getting crossways with people, especially on Facebook, that Cal Raleigh's got a case for American League MVP. I get the war and Aaron Judge is better, but Cal Raleigh has 36 home runs and before the All-Star break as a switch hitting catcher. The metrics aren't as kind to him this year defensively, but if you're going to tell me I have a catcher that could hit 65 home runs as a switch hitter and he's a functional catcher, that has more value to me than a guy playing right field at Yankee Stadium, which is the equivalent of Williamsport at 310. I love Judge. I do. It's not, so I don't mean to dismiss his candidacy, but Cal Raleigh. But anyway, Malcolm understands baseball. He knows the players, and he went to see Judge. He went to see Soto, and he's like, hey, we should go catch a game. But you heard his voice, his passion. He loves being in Denver. And those are the kind of athletes you want to stick around, that invest and put their roots down. Part of the reason people have really started to embrace Bo Nix beyond the play is he gets what it means to be the Broncos quarterback off the field. Show up at some events. Unannounced, certainly sometimes, but show up at an Avs game. Show up at a Nuggets game. Show that you're part of the community. You're not a mercenary. And for so long after Peyton Manning, it just felt like it was just mercenary gladiators. Hope this guy could come in like travel baseball. Bring in that great pitcher that lives in New Mexico to play on our Colorado team for this big tournament. This feels real. It has roots. And Malcolm Roach gave you a feeling of that, of why this culture has changed and why he wanted to stay here and train. Why go anywhere else if I'm going to stay healthy here? Why go rent a place in Florida or rent a place in Arizona and pay all that money if I can just stay here and work out here? And he had the funny line, obviously, about dropping weight here. Hey, it's hard to drop weight here, Malcolm. Look at me. I can tell you how to put on weight. If you ever need that advice, I certainly can give you advice on how to put on weight. Cover baseball for 15 years and eat after midnight. Starts there. But thank you to Malcolm Roach. Appreciate that. And then I want to transition now into that topic about health and why Roach felt it was important to stay here. Sean Payton emphasized at the end of the season, he emphasized during OTAs, this idea that the Broncos' health and improved health is not an accident. Again, some ex-players roll their eyes about this because football is a collision sport. You cannot legislate the violence out. Guys are going to get hurt. So there's a luck element involved. I don't care what anyone says. But you can tie your rehab and your practices and your training staff all together through good communication and help keep guys healthier. Put them in a better position, if you will, to stay healthier. Roach believes in it. He cites the culture, wanting to stay there, wanting to be around these same people. He likes them. He likes going to work here. Why would I leave? I like my place here. I like working out at the facility. I like the food. I like the people. So again, that's part of this thing Peyton has talked about of trying to encourage guys to stay around. And it's hard because, again, the winters aren't nearly as bad as people think in Colorado and certainly Denver. But if you grew up in California or Florida or Texas, they're still different. And you have to give guys a reason to want to stay and not stay in Arizona or stay somewhere where they're, comfortable. And if you listen to Roach, they're doing that with that culture they've created where you want to stick around. Bo Nix lives here. He trains here. He's at the facility all the time. Like, those are things that as this team's starting to turn the corner, the blinkers on, they're turning the corner, you look back on, and these are those nuances, the caulking, if you will, that makes things all kind of start to fit and glue and come together. But the health matters as much as, when you do the math in your head, when you look at this Broncos defense and why the Pro Football Network believes it'll be the best defense in football this upcoming season. Certainly the Eagles are in that conversation. The Ravens are always in that conversation. But the Broncos are right there, folks. They had 63 sacks last year, a franchise record. I would expect that number to be at least 50 next year, if not more. And I do believe they're going to have more takeaways. If they're able to continue to stop the run without having to blitz and trick it up, they're going to get more takeaways. And Talanoa Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw, a big part of that. These are instinctual players, folks, impact players. It's not just, oh, they upgraded and they're more talented. When you watch the film and you study it, you're like, man, these guys make plays. They were part of big teams, big defenses. San Francisco team that probably should have won a Super Bowl while they were there, and they're just very instinctual. But they got to stay healthy, and that's why you see that headline, Health Matters. Because their four biggest offseason additions, Talanoa Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw, Evan Ingram, and J.K. Dobbins, all have major health issues in their past. And so the Broncos are banking on the fact that their program is going to keep them healthier. And if you listen to Roach, I mean, guys buy into that. But remember, you have to also have context and understand the NFL is a collision sport, and nobody stays healthy all the time. But if the Broncos can stay healthy, I really believe they can win the AFC West. I wrote this past Sunday, that between the Avs, Nuggets, and Broncos, one of those two is going to win a championship next year. It's the first time since the Avs' arrival that all three of them have entered a season with championship expectations. They've had it before where they had actually the Avs, Nuggets, and Rockies, and Rockies only qualified for the playoffs 5 times in these last 29 years. Avs 21 times. The Broncos, I think, is 13 off the top of my head. Nuggets around that same figure. But this is the first time when I looked at it since the Avs' arrival in 1995, where these three teams, Avs, Nuggets, and Broncos, have championship expectations. Avs are second best odds in most sports books if you look at it, behind the 2-time defending Panthers. Nuggets, depending on if this Jonas Valanciunas thing, their odds have been cut in half since this offseason with the additions of Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., and trading MPJ for Cam Johnson. But if they get Valanciunas and or an Al Horford, they're going to be somewhere on the 4th, 5th best odds. And one of those teams ahead of them is Houston. They got to prove it, certainly. Oklahoma City deserves to have the best odds. But the East is just completely wide open now with the injuries to Halliburton and Jason Tatum, and both likely to miss the whole season next year. The East is wide open. So it's going to come down to, can the Nuggets be better than a Rockets team, be better than a Timberwolves team, be better than a Thunder? It's why their odds are around 5th best. And the Broncos are somewhere right in the middle of the pack, 14 to 16, depending on where you look. But the reality is this. If they finally solve the Rubik's Cube that is the Kansas City Chiefs and win the division, then you have a shot, because now you're talking about home games. You win a home game in the playoffs, you get momentum, you go on the road after winning a playoff game, like everything becomes possible. It's very unlikely that you're going to be like 97 and be a wild card team and go all the way to the Super Bowl. And that was an unusual wild card team because you had so many Hall of Famers. From a talent perspective, they were a wild card team in name only. You win the division, you set yourself up to get a home game, to get momentum, to really feel like Sean Payton has started to tell players behind the scenes that their window is open. Is it a year early to win a championship? Probably, but it's not unrealistic to say, hey, they could get hot and go on a run. But when do they win that next Super Bowl? Will they be calling Mile High Stadium their home? And we'll finish with that. I encourage you to read Luca Evans' latest piece in the Denver Post regarding the Broncos' consideration for their next stadium site. More breadcrumbs continue to show, if you follow them, that they want to go to Burnham Yard. Downtown there, it's closer to Metro State over there and those facilities. But Luca talks about how they're looking at an urban renewal project and how that would relate to taxes of a new stadium, which is important because it's part of the public funding. You would hope they wouldn't need very much public funding, given the largesse of the billionaires that own the team. But you're talking about Mike Johnson, the mayor's quoted in it. You have city officials quoted in it that it continues to indicate a seriousness for the Broncos to want that to be their next stadium site. They've got some time. Could they extend their lease with Mile High if they needed more time in the stadium district? They could. But within the next year, I think you're going to see a decision, because it's going to take 3 years or so to build the kind of facility and entertainment district we're talking about. Whether that would have a roof, I'm not convinced it would have a retractable roof. Greg Penner's always had the posture of doing what's best for the Broncos. He doesn't need necessarily a Final Four or a Super Bowl, but again, with the money this ownership group has, they might say it's worth having it as an option. I don't think it'll ever be a priority as it is in other cities, but I encourage you to read Luca Evans's piece. You guys know Luca; he's on the podcast with me, a regular. But it just continues to point to the idea that the Broncos are starting to narrow their focus at Burnham Yard. The other options are Lone Tree and Aurora, but there's just more momentum down to keep the team in Denver. And I've said this, I'm on record. The Denver Broncos are the Denver Broncos. They're not the Aurora Broncos. They're not the Highlands Ranch Broncos. They're not the Lone Tree Broncos. I think it is important to keep it down there. And I think it could help with the new soccer stadium as well, help revitalize downtown to some degree, which has certainly gone through some really difficult times and changed dramatically, really starting with COVID. And I think those of us who enjoyed going down there, would like to see it much more of an attractive place. And if you build a stadium district with a new stadium, I do think that would be a byproduct of that, and more of your audience lives closer to there. So we'll see, but I encourage you to read it. But more and more breadcrumbs as you follow them point to Burnham Yards as a site they're starting to zero on. Folks, I hope you're having a great summer. We're only a couple of weeks away before rookies report to training camp. Next thing you know, I think July 25th is that first day. All those tickets got scooped up. It's going to be a stadium, if you understand Dove Valley, stadium seating that will look over the wall. So it seats about 800 people. It's not ideal, but it's to at least get some fans there. All those tickets were gobbled up. So I would encourage you to keep checking back because people can return those seats. But the first day of public viewing is July 25th, which, believe it or not, is not that far away. I could not do this podcast, folks, without your passion for it, your support of it. I got my numbers yesterday from Nate Lundy, and it continues to grow, and it's going to keep getting better. Again, once we get into camp, we'll have 2 a week. Because we have access to the players and executives and all that. This is a little bit of the downtime in the NFL. But I could not do this podcast without the help of my A1 from day one, Darby Hoggatt from Hoggatt Injury Law, and certainly Nate Lundy of Mile High Sports and Danny Bailey behind the screen. They are the best folks. I encourage you to look at everything you can at milehighsports.com and the shows that Nate and Sean do during the week, where I'm on Thursday and Friday talking all sports. So they do a wonderful job. Broncos country, I do this pod for you. Happiness, that begins with me. Go out there and have a great day.